all of you out there. That normally happens sometimes when we have issues. But it is what it is, and we are here. This afternoon, we're about to have a very interesting and engaging conversation. I ask of you this afternoon, yes, you too can be part of the conversation. Today being the 29th of May, 2022. And some 43 years ago, a very interesting situation unfolded in Dominica, whereby a number of Dominicans basically descended upon the capital of Roseau. And for some of us, the rest is history. So this afternoon, we have two gentle people, I must say. One gentleman in the name of Mr. Margel Dira. He's no stranger to Civic Vibes. He's no stranger to the people of Dominicans. All of those of you who know Margel in the taxi business, the bus service industry in Dominica. So he's going to speak to us this afternoon to sort of help us better understand some of the things that went on back then. He being a person back then, being in the thick and thin of things. And so we just want to say a special good afternoon to Mr. Dira this afternoon. And also, as well, we have Miss Judith Bellot. She was in the thick and thin of things, living close to the ministry at the time. And so she normally tells a story every time of year, this time around. And so it's my pleasure here to welcome both of you guys. Good afternoon to you, first of all, Mr. Margel. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dr. And thanks for inviting me to Civic Vibe this afternoon. Yes. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. I hope I can remember most of the things that happened 43 years ago.
43 years ago, Margel, it was?
Yes. The only thing today is Sunday, and that fateful day in 1979 was a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday?
It was a Wednesday, yes.
Okay.
And then down the line, 3 months later after that, August 29th, I think it was a Wednesday as well when we had Hurricane David.
Yes.
So in a matter of 3 months, Dominica was, it was a hotbed, and in August it became a disastrous area after the fury of Hurricane David.
And so, Mr. Margel, you have vivid memory of things that transpired back then?
Well, yes, because I was a member of the Dominica Defense Force at the time. And being very active, I was a senior person there because at the time I held the rank of sergeant. So you were right up there in the decision making of the force. And Commander then, the late Frederick, he tasked me with certain responsibilities. Some things I had to do because we knew what was coming following all the discussions and meetings and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then he tasked me with some responsibilities. They were not easy, but being fresh from England at the time, I went there for specialist training. I took it on head on. And my task really was to go around the meetings and listen what was being said and then report back to him at headquarters. And I did that for a couple of weeks. There were a number of meetings were held, especially with the union, now the Dominica Public Service Union, but
yes,
then it was the Civil Service Association. And we realized that things were getting hot, especially the last meeting, that is the Tuesday night before, that's the 28th of May. I remember that meeting was held at the foot of Federation Drive. They used that upstairs of that building for Mr. Terrell Simon. And there were thousands of people there. And most of the speakers back then were instructing the people what to do. Come tomorrow morning, come with your mask, come with wet rags, and so, So they were anticipating something was going to happen. But it all boiled down to, because the government at the time, headed by the late Patrick John, was planning to pass 2 pieces of legislation in the House of Assembly. And therefore, the unions, they were all united. It's not like today you have unions, secretaries, and everybody talking there. They were all united. CSA, DAU, headed by Anthony Joseph, WAU by Zaboka, everybody, the private sector, public sector, all came together. And then obviously some planning took place because we had directives from the government. And so my responsibility on that morning was to secure the parliamentarians in the House of Assembly. So I as a sergeant was given 10 additional men. Go down to the ministerial building of government headquarters, the concrete, not the financial.
Yes, yes.
So that's where the House of Assembly chapter was.
Yes.
And then we had to secure the parliamentarians. And we were there early enough, obviously, and within minutes, the crowd started gathering. When I tell you crowd, it's not 200. There were thousands of people gathering, chatting, screaming, PJ must go, and all that. And then during that time, the parliamentarians started arriving as well. And then the crowd started moving in up Kennedy Avenue on Hillsborough Street and then circling the government headquarters. And then after a while, I heard the gate, the main gate downstairs, the government headquarters, started rattling. So I asked the officer in charge, I went down and I noticed there were hundreds of people trying to force their way up the steps to the parliament building up there. And honestly, it was not easy. And all my life during my career, I never panicked. And I'll be bold to say that morning, I really panicked.
You panicked that morning?
Yeah, I panicked. Although I carried a 9mm pistol, and at one time it fell.
Wow.
It fell. And then the help of the other soldiers who were around, we happened to secure it with a chain and then shut it off. But then the gate got twisted. And then on the other side, on Bath Road, where the parliamentarians were coming up, when the parliamentarians started arriving, I remember one particular parliamentarian, Mr. Luke Corrier, just passed as well. That man was manhandled up, was beaten, slapped, cuffed, and then we had to come to the rescue and pull him upstairs, But the real thing started when they got news that the Prime Minister was about to make his entry.
All right. So, yes. So, Mr. Marshall, let me tell you, thank you. You basically laid us off on a solid foundation as to what we will get into in just a bit in more detail. But let me now pan the camera, our cameras here, on your fellow guest here, that is Civic Vice fellow guest, none other than Miss Judith Bellot. Judith, good afternoon to you, and how are you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Durant. Good afternoon to my listeners. I'm Judith Bellot. There'll be a lot of people who know me, but I'm a retired post security officer. And I'm here now to discuss about 29th of May. Every time I hear 29th of May, it rackles my mind. Trust me, because this was a kind of experience I got. I have my children small, very small. I have 3 of them at the time. Last one was 5 months old. And I can remember they had that meeting the night before, the 28th of May. They had that meeting and saying that they are coming to the ministry in the morning. But I thought it was a joke. When I got up, around minutes to 8, I'm hearing people coming up. PJ must go. PJ must go. I'm wondering, what is happening? My aunt who raised me up, she said, but wait a while now. Someone must say, yeah, man. Me say, I'm not having it there, PJ Lowy. So I came on the veranda and I saw people started coming in by numbers, man, and really serious. So many groups coming up to the ministry. And I said, but wait a while. What has PJ done for them to say PJ must go? And they continued. PJ must go, PJ must go. And that is where they started, they said the whole time. And later on, well, it was at that time, it was only policemen that was there, manning the compound. And things got serious. Out of the blues, I'm seeing where they came and licked the ministers had to come in. Then I saw Luke Corrett coming in with his aqua blue. I can never forget that vehicle. A nice little car, aqua blue, parking it by the gate because I was living by in Hillsborough Street, opposite the ministry. So you could see all ministers when they come in. And when Luke Corrett came in, as soon as the man came out, they manhandled him and shake him up. And they stood up on his transport, jumped on the transport. And I'm saying, why are they doing that? Because I was a young girl at that time, and my teeth screaming out at them. Don't do that to the man. They continued and they slapped him, they didn't think. But he eventually ran out of it. Then later on, in a few minutes, I'm seeing Henkel Christian coming in, Minister of Education. And this man had to run for his life because they were at him. He ran up under the ministry. And somebody, I don't know who, but I thought it came and pulled him and brought him upstairs. And that is where things came up. They were serious, they were really serious. All ministers transport that to the back, they jumped on them, they did all sorts of nonsense. Then later on, a few hours after, here came maybe the policemen, maybe put down their arms, I have to say. Maybe couldn't take it because when just the kind of crowd that was there, and gates started banging up and breaking up and like that. So they maybe gave up. And here I came. Here comes the defense coming in.
All right, true. Thank you very much, Judy, for your recollection so far. A lot of persons already on the live. Let me say a special good afternoon to everybody on the live here already. Please share the live, share the information that you guys are listening and viewing this afternoon. We are in the scenic place, a very scenic place that is the Botanical Gardens. For those of you out there and remember the gardens very well, let me just give you guys a shot of the gardens where we are. We are at the Botanical Gardens in Roseau. And so we have basically taken Civic vibes off from within four walls this afternoon and brought it on the road, as it were. So that is the very scenic view in the gardens area for those of you who remember the Botanical Gardens, especially those of you out there. That young lady you're seeing there now is the co-host of the program, Paula Celestine. Good afternoon to you before we go back to our guest here. Good afternoon, Paula. People want to hear your voice as well, huh?
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Duran. And well, we have two Duran here this afternoon, so I have to be very
Duran Junior,
okay,
Duran
so
Senior.
good afternoon to you, Mr. Loftus. Duran?
Good afternoon, Paula.
Yes, and how you doing?
Very, very well.
Okay, and special good afternoon to our guest, Miss Judy Bellot. I've known Miss Bellot for a number of years and never know her name is Judy.
Okay.
I just always call her Bellot.
Okay.
And Mr. Margel Duran, that's one of my, how do I address you here this afternoon, Mr. Margel? That's one of my colleagues. Yes, to all our viewers here this afternoon, it's a special day today, very special and unique. Like Loftus has said, that we have taken it off a few blocks away and here at the Botanical Gardens, because we believe, like some persons would say, certain things that happen, they sometimes come back to repeat itself. But this afternoon, we are at the Botanical Gardens, and it's a very important discussion. And I just hope that, as usual, we have a lot of viewers, listeners. I hope this afternoon they are gluing to their television and by whatever media, because May 29th, like some persons would say, things have a way of repeating itself. I pray God that May 29, 1979 will never repeat itself in Dominica again. But for this, May 29, not to have to be repeated, the persons who are in power, they have to do the honorable things. I'll stop here for now.
All right, Paula, thank you for your opening salvo, as it were. Always a blessing to have you among us here this afternoon. So yes, folks, you see the list of persons who are here. Let us just swing right back into the discussion itself. Mr. Dura, a lot of persons, when they hear about the era of the 70s, that is where I really want us to focus on in terms of our next set of conversation we're going to have. Give us here an appreciation of the era of the 70s in terms of the people, how activated they were, how was Dominicans back then? Just paint that picture for us.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Dr.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, it was kind of, how should I put it, a kind of mulatto versus the little man. Because when Mr. Libna left office in 1974, I think, his successor was Patrick John. And in 1975, there was an election. And there was some good men in there. I can remember one very well, Mr. Eustace Francis, a top-notch lawyer. And T.C. Baptiste of late as well, and a few others, they contested elections with Patrick. And I remember their slogan was the winning team, I think. And Patrick won, I think, 16 out of the 21 seats. So he became prime minister, he became premier of Dominica. But there was the talk of who is Patrick John, Martinez, or Lagon, keeping the premier, you know, Chef Dominica and so on. So you had that kind of rancor going on between the middle class and the lower class. And later in 1975, we had the unfortunate incident with the Rastafarians called the Dread Fest. And then that was very difficult as well, because we had the scenario of many occasions when farmers were being attacked on their land, you know, on their properties, and so a couple of people got killed as well, you know. So that is the time Patrick embodied the Dominican to help, you know, calm and protection for the farmers. So the movement grew, it grew. Then in 1977, you had a famous 47-day strike, you know, called by the CSA then, and people wouldn't go to work, you know, people were frightened, farmers were afraid to go to their farms. Some of them were being chased out of their properties, and so one or two were being murdered in the area. So it was obvious that the security forces then, both the police and the defense forces, were mounting regular operations in the hills, regular operations in the hills. And things started building up momentum from that, you understand, and saying, oh, the defense force this and police that, and killing Rasta there. But nobody was mentioning problems the Rastas were keeping the farmers and their land. I remember there was a quote-unquote white guy, Mr. Writer. He was living in Poncasé. I know a famous person who bought that piece of land and actually built a house on it. And he was murdered right in his room, and then the property was burned down. That's in the Sultan Flat. And then you had a number of other incursions in the Bells area. And then things went on like that. Then we had independence in 1978. Again, Patrick John became first prime minister, and there was that whole rancor again, that the talk started again, you know. And then problems with salaries with civil servants, said they were getting paid late. And then the Civil Service Association was really active then. They were really active. And so things really came to a head when they were trying to pass stupid legislation at the beginning. Some were against it because they say infrastructure more legislation, you know, we couldn't talk and so on. So that is the essence of it. But to piggyback on what Ms. Bellot said, that morning of May 29th, when they called really got hostile, when they said the Prime Minister was coming down, in internal security work, your first line of defense is the police. And then the police did not show up on time. So they stayed back at headquarters. They did not come down to the government headquarters. Those who were there most probably they ran away because, as I said, the crowd was really thick. You're talking about 15,000 people. So they didn't show up. So the government had no choice but to call on the second line of defense because the defense force. Simple as that. To try to maintain law and order. So we came, but I was upstairs, and it's from there, as we see in the local panels, the bastard. I can remember seeing prominent people. I don't call it, some of them are dead, some of them are alive. But I could see some of them wearing big placards in front of their chest today is D-Day in Dominica. You know, some go in the demonstration, pink shirt, and later on they change it to yellow shirt. You understand? So when bullets started firing, because the soldiers were being attacked with stones and bottles, and you just name it, Miss Bellot knows that. And the stones were coming from that long area by the financial center there, going over the houses of people.
Yes.
And hitting the soldiers in the platoon right in front of the government building.
So, Marshal, let me ask you a question. With the stones you're talking about, from area, going over ministry.
No, it wasn't over ministry, over the houses.
Okay, over the houses, right?
It was for the stones were falling on the platoon, the soldiers in the platoon,
Okay.
on Canadian Avenue. And some of them were getting knocked in the head, some of them in the arms, on the legs. And then one night, I started hearing glass, you know, shattering, you know, all over the place. So I ran upstairs on the top floor. There you get a perfect view of everything. I could see young boys. Two of them I went to school with. They're now in the States. These guys, there was no bridge there at the back of the stadium. There was no bridge. But there were two fellows I recognized very well. Each of them had a big bag of stone from the river. And the guys were standing on the wall and pelting the stone to the top of the government headquarters. And as Ms. Bellot can tell you, the following day you could see every piece of glass in the ministry shattered. Shattered, so the instructions were maybe to use tear gas. Well, obviously use tear gas first. You had the rags and people started running around, then bang back at the extensions. And then the news came to me that one man is down. Then I got the message, Mr. Durham, send 2 soldiers to pick up the body. So I delegated 2 men from my village. They went to pick up the guy, put him up ministry, but he wasn't dead yet. So I looked at him, young man, I turned him over. I opened his shirt. He was still breathing. I turned him over. I looked at the bullet hole. I said, no, that cannot be a 303, because I knew the men downstairs were carrying 2 types of weapons, the 303 and the SLR. The 303, that's the caliber, and the SLR carried a 7.6 round. And these weapons, especially the 303, they do considerable damage. When the bullet enters on one side, you get a small hole, but when it exits the body, you get a massive hole. So, to me, the bullet not even go through the man's body. But whilst there, he died.
You spoke about this gentleman, Mr. Viewer. Do you want to tell viewers, listeners, who this gentleman was?
Yeah, well, later on, I got to know his name was Philip Timothy. Yeah, but I was upstairs looking down at Hillsborough Street at the time. And he got shot very close to where he was going.
Yeah.
Just lower down, a few yards away. But I tell you, the whole street, he was innocent, because he had a bag of stones in front of the street pelting of the ministry. He had a bag of stones, I can tell anybody that. So the guys picked up the body on the stretcher, took it to the first floor of cabinet for that. They tell the Minister of Home Affairs, and that's where he died. And then I can remember one guy who later became a minister in the government said, this is what Dominica has become. I said, this is what you have done.
Mr. Duran, you spoke about persons changing from pink shirts into yellow shirts. What is this shirt signify?
Well, it means you come to the demonstration wearing a particular color. But when you saw the mayhem that was going on there, maybe to say you were not there, you move home and then you change your shirt and then you come back. If a yellow one and then coming up ministry and talk your crap, when I saw you there in the morning, I said that in the inquiry. Until the Colonel Martin Dill from Ghana, no, keep it out of that. I saw it. I saw a brother wearing that massive placard. Today is D-Day in Dominica. D-Day. A religious brother, you know. I just wouldn't call his name, but a religious brother. And these people were determined to overthrow the government. Some polish it and say, constitutional culpability. An overthrow has no constitutional culpability. An overthrow is an overthrow.
True.
You overthrow the government, you overthrow the government. There's nothing constitutional about it. No.
Especially with students.
Especially with stone, and they were bullets, you know. And I saw, from my vantage point upstairs, I can remember vividly the government of France gave the government of Dominica a black Peugeot. A Peugeot 604. Nice large car. Patrick was using it as a state car. I saw who smashed the windscreen. I saw who smashed it. The person is alive today. I saw, I just wouldn't call names, but I saw. Then there was another man, well, that one, we had a little blue van, number 3930. This is Piper from Cochrane was driving that van.
Yes.
I saw who smashed it. The guy was living below in the same street with you, Hillsborough Street, short man. I saw him when he smashed the vehicle. And then when a certain officer opened fire, they took a head dive in the drain in the dirty water and they crept out and they ran down. I saw that live because when you're upstairs at the government headquarters,
Aerial view.
Yeah, you can see everything upstairs. You can identify people for support high story buildings, but you can clearly identify people from there. It was a real hot day. Real hot. And then the bullets were flying all over the place for sure. Now they have covered it, but you could see it on the treasury. You could see the effects of the wrongs on the treasury.
So in terms of trying to create, Brother Gerald, a picture, what you're saying, the crowd was really assembled on what street? At Hillsborough Street.
Bath Road.
Hillsborough Street, Kennedy.
Well, not directly in front of Kennedy Avenue at the intersection, but higher
Okay, Dominicans, thank you very much for staying on. We had a very big, I should say, technical glitch a while ago, cost us some time. But we are now going to resume, as it were, the discussion with Mr. Marshall Dura and Ms. Judith Bellot. We are in the Botanical Gardens area, as I said before, and you know what Murphy Law says. Anything that can go wrong, sometimes it will go wrong. And so this afternoon, certain things went wrong. But it's a pleasure to have you back. Paula is here with us. And so we're just going to continue on the discussion where we left off this afternoon. Again, let me just pan the camera on my guest here. That is Brother Marshall here. That is Miss Judith here, for those of you maybe just tuning in at this time. And obviously, Paula Celestin is right here. And we are in the gardens, as I said. Let us just continue on the conversation. Mr. Joseph, Mr. Dura, sorry, you're giving us the situation that was unfolding at the time when you were on duty, doing your duties as a police officer. Soldier, sorry. In terms of the stones that you saw coming from Kennedy Avenue area, from your own perspective, where do you think all these stones came from? Were there decision to collect these stones, pack them there? What do you think was happening there?
Well, the thing is, whenever you're planning and that's where you want to execute your things, you plan in advance. So based on what transpired at the meetings, I guess the people were getting prepared. So I am not sure if these stones were gathered or collected overnight or whatever. But I know during the course of the day, the morning, sorry for that. So as I was saying, I'm not sure if the people were instructed to collect the ammunition, stones and everything, overnight and put them in certain positions. But what I saw from my vantage point upstairs the ministerial building, like for instance, those who were pelting the stones from the River Street area, close to the river, there's a wall. I could actually see bags of stones on the wall.
Okay.
You understand? So they were taking stones from the bags and pelting up ministry. Okay. So I guess the people who were pelting stones at the force from the Pong area, they had their stones in the area as well. But you could stay upstairs and see the stones coming from behind the houses over the rooftops and falling on the Kennedy Avenue, hitting the fellas on the head, on the shoulders, on the arm, on the leg, all over the body. I could see that. But since you're planning your thing, you knew what you were going to do. I suppose they had their things connected the night before.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Judith, there was an account of a child of yours at the time. A lot of persons thought that that child was there at the time. Do you want to kind of bring us back there?
Well, yes. When the tear gas, a bunch of tear gas hit us upstairs, because I was living upstairs, opposite the ministry. And that piece of tear gas hold me down with my children. I started screaming, my baby, my baby, my baby, because my child was about 5 months old. And I had to hold that child and go down in the yard and put them in a little house that we had and stay there, because my eyes were burning me and I was scared for them because they were screaming and so on. So they must have thought that my baby died. But that wasn't true. Because I can remember after a few weeks after they had the newspaper, the Chronicle,
yes,
where they pointed the arrow, a red arrow, showing on the house where the baby died. Even a baby died, they said, after Timothy.
Yes.
They said that a baby died, so that means it's 2 people who died. But it wasn't 2 people, it was only 1 person.
Okay.
So by that, I didn't query that, because I said, but where they get that baby business saying baby die and no baby didn't die?
So your baby was safe and secure?
Yes, because my boy is 43 years. He's a big man now, eh?
Okay.
43 years.
Okay.
So no baby didn't die. But that tear gas really hit us hard, eh? Really came full bloom.
And it wasn't expired tear gas neither, eh?
It wasn't expired tear gas, Brother Dura?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Mr. Dura, on that day, we have been told that there was a house of assembly. The ministers were upstairs. trying to get the 2 pieces of legislation passed, right?
Mhm.
Were you privy to what was happening upstairs on that day?
No, no, I wasn't in the actual chambers because our duty, we had specific orders that we should not be inside the chambers,
Okay.
but only give security those who were entering the chamber with a pass, of course. So you didn't have a pass, you would not go through the door. So but I knew what the legislation was about. But as to what was going on inside there, no, we were not privy to that.
Because I'm being told because I myself I'm doing my own talking to persons that can remember vividly what happened on that day. I'm being told that there was a particular body, I think they say he was a senator then, in the House of Assembly. And his role on that day was every time Patrick John stood up to talk in the House of Assembly, he was positioned by a window and his hand would make some kind of gesticulation outside that window, and the crowd downstairs would be wild up even more. And so that goes to show the level of organization that went into what happened on that day. I don't know if you have anything to say about the level of organization.
Well, honestly, I can't speak to that. What I can say is the air conditioner, the house was in chamber, the chamber was air conditioned. So I doubt they would open any window to make any signal outside. As I said, I wasn't inside, so I cannot speak to
Yes.
what was going on inside. You understand? But I heard the rumor that when Timothy was killed, the news filtered in the house and said 1 down. But I don't know. All I know, I got a message that I should send 2 soldiers to pick up the body on Hillsborough Street. That's the time I designated 2 soldiers with a stretcher to go and recover the body, and I told them, take it upstairs. And the body was laid there and on the stretcher. I handled the body myself. I looked at it. I turned around, but the guy was still breathing. He was still breathing. When I opened the shirt, and I saw where the bullet, I think he was facing the ministry, so the bullet hit him somewhere on the left. But I didn't see any big damage on the right hand side. I said, nah. I told you guys who recovered the body, nah, that's not our bullet. Not what I know that is downstairs. No, no.
So you're clear in your mind it wasn't the defense force
because
that shot Timothy.
One of the first courses I did in England was skill at arms. Skill at arms. That is trained with a lot of conventional weapons, especially rifles, 9mm, SMGs, that kind of thing, pistols and that kind of thing. So I would know. And I saw the damage done because we were doing shooting practice on soft objects and you could see. So somebody getting hit with a 303 or 7.62 caliber round, it will rip you off color. It will really rip off. The whole leaf, where the wound penetrated, when it got hit first, we get a small hole. But where the bullet exits the body, you get a big one. And that did not happen. That did not happen. And it takes me back to the incident in 1975 when the 2 guys got killed in the heights of Macapin River, in the heights of Castle Bruce. When we recovered the bodies the following day, you could see the damage. Half a face off, intestines ripped off, you understand? These were 7.62 caliber guns and you could see the damage.
Okay.
I know that. I did training on that.
Yeah.
And then later on I got to know that so and so was the one who fired, you understand, and killed the boy. In the pretext that they would hold the event for ransom and that, but no, it wasn't true. It was no bullet at all. No.
I'm being told as well of a commission of inquiry. Anybody was punished or anybody was held responsible for Timothy's death based on your knowledge?
I don't think so. I don't think so. All I know, I gave evidence at the inquiry. It was conducted by Lieutenant Colonel Martindale from the Guyana Defense Force. I gave evidence, and when I started, he told me, no, Sergeant, don't go there, and everything like that. But as to, I don't think anybody was punished there. Nobody was arrested after that. Nobody was arrested for permission with having demonstrations, anything like that. Demonstration and permission or anything like that. No, nothing like no. And then when things started dying out following the incident on the 29th, then comes for the burial now of Philip Timothy at the Catholic Cemetery. Now we had, well, everybody knew what the headquarters looked like. There was the old, those Girl Guides headquarters there, unfinished building and so. But we were hearing a lot of things, you know, oh, they're going to attack defense force and things like that. And the funeral was huge. To be honest, it was huge. But being in the military and knowing the kind of commander we had and his backup staff, we prepared as well. Don't think you're going to attack the illegal headquarters we have and think we're not going to respond. So the commander prepared his plan and said, well, we're going to do A, B, C, and D. Where you will not act, you will not fire unless you are fired upon. So the guys went upstairs in the building and they were ready. So when the coffin arrived at the cemetery and people started talking and all eyes on the headquarters, all the fellows who were upstairs, they just stood up. They just stood up at the ready. And then when the crowd saw that, they realized, oh, that thing is not over, man. So most of them went back and then the body was laid to rest and that was the end of it. But the strike continued. The strike continued, you understand? And then you had the formation of the Committee of National Salvation with some prominent citizens that I can call them, like Rosie Douglas, Pierre Charles Sheridan, Gregoire, Oliver Seraphine, you know, Miss Charles, and you know, the kind of people. They had the Committee of National Salvation. Parish Hall was the meeting ground. You understand? And then the threats came about as well. The threats came about because we got word that they wanted to poison the water system in Roseau. Because the system then was quite open in River Deuce, just up there. And then a force of 99 men, we were stretched. We were stretched.
You say 99 men?
Yeah, that's 99 of us.
So that's what the
defense force was. Yes, 99, including officers. And then we got the threat too that, okay, not only River Deuce, we had the Antrim. We had to protect that as well. And then Antrim, we had two sections. We had a big concrete what the dam was, remember, Lofty?
Yes,
that
yes.
thing. Now they have it in plastic and it's enclosed. And plus the water catchment itself, which is high up in the hills up there. And trust me, that's not easy at night with mosquitoes and everything. And we had to be guarding those three things. And River Deuce was worse. At Antrim, it was easier because you had some shelter. You had some shelter. But at River Deuce, you had nothing. We were exposed to the element 24 hours a day, nighttime and everything. So maybe you would visit your home, especially those who live in the rural areas, maybe once a week or once in 2 weeks. Because everybody you have to guard your headquarters, you have to guard government, you know, and everything like that. Plus the water. Without water, you know, and then things went on and on until at the end of the 24th day, things came to, you know, they elected a prime minister who was O.J. Seraphine. But to give credit, I always remember Patrick saying, I shall not resign. And he never resigned. He died and he never resigned as prime minister. Never. Never. The boy kept his word. He said, I'm not resigning. You know, I don't think Vic Rivet resigned either. But most of the others, the fellow, you know.
So we had a situation where a prime minister never resigned, he was evicted.
Yeah, he died and he never resigned.
Okay.
Give him credit for that. Never resigned.
Wow. Anything you want to chime in there, Miss Bella? Anything you want to chime in on now?
Well, at the 70s, what I could remember in the 70s, you had all unions. You had, was it CSA? CSA at the time. You had WAU, you had DAO, you had Federation, Employers Federation. You had all these, and all of them were united. You still had the religious people, no matter what, all of them were united. Anything they would hear. If you touch one, you touch the other. And you'd see everybody come up. Any little thing, there was a demonstration. I could remember those days. Any little thing. To be teachers, you heard, everybody come together. And today, I'm seeing more things are happening worse than at the time of Patrick John. And I'm seeing a lot of nonsense happening and hear nobody talk. I tend to wonder what went wrong. Where are the unions? Where the unions have gone to? Are they dead and buried? I would like to know. Except maybe Civil Service Association, who is there trying to do something. But you're not seeing any religious people, they're afraid to open their mouth. I have no idea what went wrong.
Talking about the unions, Ms. Bella, and I guess Brother Jura can chime in on that as well. Talking about the unions, I'm being told as well that it is really the unions that came together and made it happen in the 70s in terms of the mass protest action. And the political elites at the time, Eugenia Charles and others, they basically were at the back, salvaging what was happening from the union standpoint. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because I could remember people like Brian Allen, even when they had the problem with the dreads and so on, they used to go all in the bush and help all the dreads. Did people do anything about it? No. They never did anything about it.
You see, the three main unions left it. CSA, DAO, WAU. CSA would control all the public servants.
Okay.
Then you had WAU controlling the port.
Okay.
And then you had DAO controlling more or less the private sector.
Okay.
You understand? So it's a free one. Plus, I'm Catholic by faith, and I can say that some priests were openly preaching that on the pulpit.
Oh, yeah.
Openly. I can remember one Sunday I was at service, and I was sitting way at the back. And then the preaching started, and maybe a good dozen people just said choops, and they just got up and they just walk out. They just walk out of the church. Out of the service for that matter. Some of them are still Catholic, some of them have since moved on. They have changed from Catholic to something else. But everybody was one thing. And then I can remember after that fight, that riot and everything, the people actually, they were instructed, I should say if I can use that word, to turn the guns on the other side.
Okay.
Turn the guns on the other side. So which means, okay, you couldn't mash up defense force, you couldn't mash up police, you couldn't kill the ministers. They turned on to the private sector. And people like Nugent Thomas, Flossie Joseph, and one Mr. Kazimi, where Papi used to have his party office.
Yes.
These people suffered mercilessly, man. The rampage, you see where Jason has the bookstore now, that's where Nugent Thomas was.
Okay.
Man, they ravaged that supermarket there. I can remember by Flossie when he went there. After they took everything inside there, they couldn't carry the oil and things. The people opened the drums of oil and rum and they just let that flow on the floor, you know. Kazimi suffered the same fate. Sugar and flour and cornmeal and rice just make what we call in Creole tonton on the floor, you know.
What about Franz?
Franz. Mischief making.
Yeah, I can remember. I can mention her name. She's dead. May she rest in peace. I can remember when she said, when Patrick made Mr. Kuzlatik, the acting president.
Yes.
Mr. said openly, Zong, they used to call him Zong. Zong will pay for it. And his house was directly in front of the cathedral. They set fire to the car in the garage, to the vehicle right there. And they find that wasn't enough. There was Franz on Great George Street, just there. There was a car park there. They turned that over. They broke and opened the cake store. And they ravaged that as well. Serious business, you know. And again, curfew on again. That's where the thing was again. We had to be patrolling Roseau all night and driving around. And hey, it wasn't easy at all. It was not easy. So some people want to turn their heads on that, turn their backs on it. No.
Feel like they forgot.
And I'm a good friend of Dr. Honeychurch, but from what I've read in the Dominican story, to me, it's not enough.
You don't put everything.
It's not enough.
Put everything.
1 or 2 chapters, 1.5 chapters, something like that. It's just not enough. If I had the power to write like him, I would write maybe 5 books on May 29th, that Wednesday alone. You understand? Not enough is being or has been said about it in Dominica. Too much went on. And again, I'm bold enough to say, all because of class. Who was Patrick? A little man from Lagon. A little man from Lagon, short little man, a national footballer, great footballer. He becomes premier, he becomes prime minister, and then you have the mulattoes behind them. You understand? The upper class.
Yeah.
You understand? Because remember, it was the same Labour Party, not what we have now, which brought in the little man to attend high school and work in the banks. It was the mulattoes controlling them. So the little man was starting to get control of the island, and things were going well. Things were going well. You understand? But compared to what happened then and today, chalk and cheese, man. Chalk and cheese. So, I don't think Defense Force fellows brutalize people as nothing compared to what's happening now. Nothing. Nothing. And we had it harder. In the Defense Force, we had it much harder in the 70s because we had no ponchos, we had no sleeping gear. Sometimes we didn't have boots to traverse the jungle. We didn't have that. Sometimes we were using our own shoes. You understand?
Yes.
But we were a proud bunch of 99 men because most of the men were well trained. We went to England, went to Jamaica, went to Guyana. You understand? Who did a lot of military training through the British government for the senior naval officer of the West Indies under the command of Colonel Fraser, who would come down to the Caribbean and conduct specialist training for the members of the Eastern Caribbean Defense Forces. So training courses were held in Montserrat, in St. Kitts, in Antigua. You understand?
Yes, yes.
So we were there, but we didn't have the kind of equipment like they have now. What we had was a couple of SLRs, a couple of SMGs, and some 9mm pistols. And then to carry a 9mm, you have to be a sergeant and an officer upwards.
Okay.
You know, but every policeman has a Glock now. You understand? And then a lot more weapons. We had no grenades or anything like that. Nothing like that. But today you have a whole ton of weapons, AK-47s and everything. We didn't have that. Just a few 303s, maybe they still have them in the armory down there. That's what we had. And what I knew my personal weapon was an SLR, 13585. That was my personal weapon. It was an SLR. And I was authorized to carry it because from sergeant I was officer, so I was carrying that. But otherwise, we didn't have lots of the weapons they have now. But we were a bunch of highly trained men. And speaking of that from a military standpoint, I'd rather be trained by the British every day than the Americans. Every day. Every day. The British, you maximize it. You maximize your power. You have minimum power, you maximize it.
Yeah.
You. For instance, America has about a million men in the army. The British has a couple 100,000. But put them into fight. The British will out for them. You finish them off because you know they do a lot of specialist training. They have the second best commandos in the world. Navy SEALs is one set, but when you talk about SAS and so on, and these are the kind of people that were training us.
Okay. You spoke about Margel, some of the quote unquote go boogle of the day. You had the Zabukas, you had the people who control the unions. In your mind and in Judith's mind, can you guys say that these guys were the power players? They basically move the people in a particular direction to overthrow the government?
But naturally, because take for instance, you did the civil service.
Uh-huh.
They control the hospital, the nurses.
Yes.
They had the majority of teachers. You understand? The police, they always had their welfare association anyway. And then the civil servants who run the ministries, who work on the ministries, and the airport as well. So when you shut down the airport, you shut down the main port, and then you shut down the schools. Where are you? Where are you? And then in the private sector, as I said, Zabuka was controlling the ports. WOW has, DAIC and all the others. So when they pull their strike, your business is closed. You as a private sector person, nobody has reported to work.
Yes.
Then when you fall sick in the hospital, remember back then the president of the general secretary of CSA said, the firemen will not work. You know, the hospital will not work.
Where exactly did Charles Savre say those words? Where exactly?
I think it was May 29th or the day before. The day before.
In
Parish Hall.
Parish Hall.
Parish Hall.
When Parish Hall.
Yes.
That's the night leading up to.
Yes.
Whatever it was, but he said it because
Okay.
his voice is there. So when you shut down those places, the hospital may be a skeleton staff. The airport is completely shut down. Nothing can come in. The port is locked down. Nothing can come in. Nothing can go. So where are you? Okay, you want to put out sugar, but nobody to work by house plants. Nobody to work by Burtons. Everybody, you know, is just locked out. So the strike must be effective. Not like now you're calling people on strike and half will go and half will, you know, stay back home and everything like that. No, it was a real united force. And what I've noticed in Dominica, anytime the churches speak out, people listen. People listen. You understand? So the religious leaders were part and parcel. Maybe not all, but most of them, the majority of them, were part and parcel of the whole thing. The whole thing to clamp down on the government and get the government out. Simple as that.
Yeah. All right, folks, thank you. Let me ask you guys, you can chime in on the conversation yourselves. We have in there with Judith and Marshall, read the 1970s era, especially the zeroing on, we are zeroing on rather, on the May 29th saga, as it were. Please feel free to send in your comments if you need to ask them a question, if you need to comment or say something to them. So now is your time. We are monitoring the live. Paula will do some of that for us in just a bit. But let me just take a comment here so that I can have Brother Jira or Judith Bella answer to you guys' concerns here. It says here from Brother David Joseph, Dominicans who fed a pack of lies back then, and they fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Patrick John was not without fault, but he stood absolutely no chance because of the serious opposition from not only the Dominica Freedom Party, but the upper class of Dominicans who did not want this little poor man from Lago to be leader of the country. Those are the facts, Brother Joseph is saying. Any of you guys want to comment on what Brother Joseph said?
I said it last week.
Yeah.
It's a fact, you know, because, and go back to Mr. LeBlanc. Mr. LeBlanc was doing well, you know. I mean, most people call him the father of the nation. But he realized he was getting pressure because he was from Viecas. Mr. LeBlanc was from Viecas. And then the mulattoes now were putting pressure on him, a countryman, leading them. Then when he retired from active politics in 1974, I said at the beginning, his best choice was Patrick. I think Mr. Ronald Lamont tried to get in there, but Patrick was highly favored by Mr. John. And from the time Mr. John came in, he started, I can remember, he started on a Meet the People tour, going around the island and meeting people. And that made Patrick even more popular again. I remember when he came to Savre at the school. So when he came, he said, but Oti Premier, I know. So somebody said, me. One guy said, Tinom Salade. So they just started galvanizing around that, but who is Mr. from Lago in Roseau? You understand? Forgot all the good he did, all the good things he did in football and in athletics as a teacher at SMB and everything like that. And he said, no. Another case in point, I remember when Edison James was elected prime minister just in 1995. One prominent Dominican said, but Dominica is being led by a banana farmer. Yes. I just wouldn't call his name. His son is my very good friend. But he said it too. So as though those of us who live in Roseau, we still have that big class mentality. But look at the population of Roseau now. I'm not from Roseau, but I live in Roseau. Most of us who came from the rural districts to high school in town, we graduated and we got a job. So we settled. Either rent, or you got a job, you bought land, you build property. So a number of people who live in Roseau now were not born in Roseau, they come from the rural areas. Paula Celestine is from Calibishi, indeed, yes. Or somewhere around there.
Yes.
You understand? So people settled in Roseau. But that class thing was going on, you understand? Who are you to be leading people like Miss Charles and and the others and controlling Dominican were left behind. No. So that whole thing was designed to get rid of the little man and put the bourgeoisie in place. That's what happened. That's what happened. And they happened to galvanize sufficient support among the working class. According to the guy, they be fooled with lies and everything. You know, and then the people believed it.
Yeah.
A similar thing is happening today. Brainwashing people and make you believe that, you know, I am the only one who can do the job.
Someone by the name of Marilyn Pascal, in terms of our engagement with the public now, she's saying here that not only that measure, workers were seriously threatened. If they dare report to work, I was a victim, she's saying. On May 29th, I did not report to work on the account of these threats. I was told that I would be physically dragged out. Fear kept me at my home on the 28th. Can you remember any of those threats being made to public servants in particular?
Yes, I remember. But at the beginning, remember I said the crowd at one time was trying to gain access to the ministry. Maybe that was part of the plan. You understand? To force themselves up the stairs and see who was there.
Okay.
And then pull them out. But God put a hand, we happened to shut it down and lock it. Yes, the gate got twisted and everything. I think he had to repair and replace it. So maybe that could have been possible as well. It could have been. Could have. Because I wouldn't put anything behind that.
True. Any thoughts on persons being threatened? Do you?
Well, I don't know what influenced him. Most of the unions, especially Zabuka, he had big influence. And I don't know whether he didn't train others to be like him, because since he moved away from union, you're not hearing anything like Zabuka. Zabuka had a big influence. Zabuka would just tell them, close the ports, and that port would be closed.
Okay.
When they call on other private sectors, stay home, they had to stay home. And I'm saying, no, what really happening?
You see?
It bothers me, because I'm wondering why our Dominicans are behaving soft now.
But again, of the history,
Trust me.
that thing has been going on for a very long time. Very long time. Zabuka. Short, stockily built man. Even had bow legs. His favorite car was Ford Cortina GT. 1971, at the House of Assembly. Who took the mace? Who took the mace in the House of Assembly? Yes, 1971. When they stormed the House of Assembly, and Zabuka was the one who grabbed the mace from the British.
Okay.
That's why we haven't got the silver mace today. What we have? One carved out in Gomi, I think, by Martin Allen.
A wooden mace.
A wooden mace, yes. With the Cicero parrot, Martin Allen did that. But who grabbed the mace, Zabuka? So
And
that thing,
so Maja, what you're telling us here now, that mace was never found?
I don't think so.
The mace that Zabuka
I don't know
took?
whether they found it or anything, but we don't have the silver mace anymore.
Okay.
For sure, we have a wooden mace at the House of Assembly.
Yes, that I know.
That was carved, built by Martin Allen, the former woodwork teacher at the Goodwill Secondary School.
Yes.
Or Goodwill Primary, whatever. But he made it.
Yes.
But it was, so that thing has been going on. And who was premier then, or chief minister then in 1971? Premier. Who was Mr. LeBlanc? Labor. Labor. So today, I always laugh at that. So today, when I remember the history of the Labour Party in the 70s to now and what the Freedom Party did, and today you're telling me I see people who were for freedom, for freedom, hate Labour to the teeth.
And now they're inside.
And today you inside and you're shouting Labour, you're telling me the Labour Party we have? No. I can say it independently of me. That's why I think I told you so last still.
Yes.
If you were born after 1970, don't talk to me anything about that.
True.
You're too young. You're too young. You understand, Paula? Because I have read those things. I've listened to a lot of lectures from Dr. Honeychurch, my friend. Sometimes I call him and ask him questions. And today, the same people who were destroying Dominica back then, you inside there and tell me, you Labour? You Labour? Like Gentleman was married to my cousin. He died last year, later in January. Mr. Parry Bellot. Who was Mr. Parry Bellot? He was the one.
Freedom, man.
Photo freedom in the bowels of freedom. At one time, the House of Assembly stopped going live. He was recording it and then editing and putting what he wanted on the radio. Yeah. I told him so once. Why should you do that? Let us hear what the people are saying. You want to make us listen to what you want? And then Freedom Party fell. And then you're telling me you labor now? Compared to the little man who used to guaye in Roseau, the barefoot man. These are the genuine labor people I know. I know some of them. You understand? That's why when I see this old, quote-unquote, old-time laborers telling me they still there and following what is happening, I just can't, I can't stomach it. I cannot stomach it. No, I will not harm you. I will not tell you anything, but I know in your heart of hearts, you're not genuine. And today, tomorrow, hey, God forbid Freedom Party win. They're going to go back there.
Yes, they are.
Today, tomorrow, Labour Party falls. They lose an election. And Freedom Party wins. Paul and Lofty, UK, Viwela. They will go back there.
And it's a very good thing that you're reminding Dominicans about that, Mr. Duran, because we should not let this go unnoticed here this afternoon. Because if you're speaking about what happened before and what's happening today, we definitely should not let this piece of the history go unnoticed. We have someone who sits in the seat as president. As we speak, Charles Savre. And Charles Savre was one of those at the forefront in Dominica in 1979. He was one of those who acted, because a lot of persons who maybe, like you have said, if you're born after 1979, persons who don't have known the history. I am way before 1979, and I can't recall a number of things that took place in Dominica here. And the Charles Savre, one of those who was at the forefront of what transpired in Dominica, today he sits in the seat as president. And he was a member of the Freedom Party. And today he supports the Labour Party. So Dominicans, what do we expect when someone who at the time condemned certain things and nothing compared to what's happening today, and he sits there and he's like a mumu.
Okay.
He says nothing.
Take the person who sits as president now. Following the fall of the Patrick John government, in the Committee on National Salvation, he played his part. Then you had the elections of 1980, and Freedom Party won. Remember, Freedom Party won. He contested in Portsmouth, he lost. But he was given a ministry as a minister without portfolio.
Yes.
And a couple of years later, where did he go? What post did he got? Ambassador to Brussels. That's where he was stationed for a number of years. Okay, fine, you come back. You contested again. There was that merger with Freedom and Labour. You contested again, you lost. They made you a senator. Then they made you a minister of government again. And then from the seat of a minister, you were head of state. Now, let me just say this. Following the fall of the Patrician government, there were salary issues as well. I said it at the beginning of the program. And at the time, the government was owing civil servants money for salary increase, back pay. And I can never forget that day. This is Michael Douglas, was the Minister of Finance. Because according to the Constitution, to be the Prime Minister, you have to be elected as well as the Minister of Finance. So OJ was an elected parliamentarian. He resigned from the Labour Party and whatever. So he was elected Prime Minister. Mike Douglas was the Minister of Finance. The CSA did not end the negotiations there. They restarted it. And I can remember our headquarters was destroyed by Hurricane David. So we moved to the Old State House. That's where we were. Sleeping on the tents, you know, where the officers were downstairs. We had the offices there. And that's where the negotiations were held. And I could stay in my room in my sleeping quarters and hear most of the negotiations. And the CSA demanded they wanted their money, 121%. They want their money. They want it. They want their money. So there comes the Minister of Finance, be rest in peace, saying, but look, we just had a hurricane, you know, so give us a chance. We'll pay 6 months, you know, give anything. So no, we want all. And I can remember those words again. My memory is still sharp. A government that cannot pay its employees should resign. These were spoken words. A government that cannot pay its employees should resign. Anyway, Seraphin dragged it until 1980 and Freedom Party won. Since Freedom Party won, you ever heard about that those increases again? You ever heard about 121% increase again?
Nothing,
Never.
nothing like that.
Never. So all that just unravels the plot to get rid of the little man, the Patrick John thing, to get rid of him and then have the mulattoes, bourgeois to control Dominica.
So,
That's how it happened.
so I'm hearing you guys speaking, recalling what transpired. Huh? I know Freedom Party as a party, they did well for Dominica. That is as a party when they reigned from what?
80 to 95.
80 to 95. But I am deducing among what you guys are saying there that the Freedom Party themselves as a party, some of the actors in there, they did whatever they had to do at the time. As a result, the country itself suffered because of their own political selfishness, their own political mileage. Basically, there was mayhem that had to be caused in order for whoever to benefit, and they did what they had to do. That's what I'm getting from you guys in terms of.
Of course, it's a fact. It's a fact. Because remember, the Labour Party had been there, and things were going on, not at the pace people wanted, but things were going on at the time. You understand?
Yeah.
When you got the Deporter Harbour, we got this, we got that. And then when things, every 2 steps you make, you would fall back because you have a strike. And the strikes were effective. They were effective because you had a 47-day strike in 1977 when people like Mr. Christopher Maxime, Osborne Sims, and somebody else was under house arrest as well. So once you have a strike, Lofty, the country is locked down. You have no activities, you know.
True. Yeah.
You have no revenue coming in. So you must be at a standstill, so things will slow down. Yes, when the Freedom Party came in 1980, they did quite a few things. Of course, I give them credit for that. But I'm bold enough to say that they were not innocent. They were not innocent. You were part and parcel of the whole struggle. You were part and parcel of it. Because more or less the CSA or the Freedom Party was behind the CSA. They were the driving force behind the CSA to push them. And since the members then were actually, to be quite frank, the General Secretary was dynamic. He was young, very vocal, spoke very well and convincing. So he was able to convince his membership, yes, we're going on strike. And there is nothing illegal about a strike, as I told you. It is either it is successful or it is not successful. And if it is not successful, I dare you to charge any one of them. Because if you charge someone, you're going to strike again. Plus, you had the backing of WOW and DOW.
Yeah.
The Free Kings. You understand me? The Free Kings. So we're locking you off. And then when pressure builds, pressure burst pipe, that's it. That's it. But things started going wrong, first of all, based on the formation of UWP in 1988. Remember, she started with a big win. Was it 18? 18? Then you go down to 15. And the last one was 11. And when she made the famous statement in Point Michel, nobody can blame me if my eyes don't fall on the constituents I didn't vote for. And then from there, you started picking up momentum. So to get to defeat UWP now, you had Freedom teaming with Labour as a coalition to defeat United Workers' Party. So there again, they realize the Freedom Party is going, or it is dead and gone. So it goes back to what I said at the beginning. All the big boys decide, okay, forget green and I red. In my heart of hearts, you're not genuine. But today, tomorrow, Freedom Party would be to come, would say would come back alive and win again. You can still view it.
They will do the same thing.
They do the same thing. You call them PIP.
People in power.
Party in power.
Party in power.
That's how I see it.
True.
That's how I see it.
All right, Judith, if I'd focus some attention on but just before you make your point, someone is saying there that the mace that we spoke of before, the mace was supposed to be thrown in an oil tank at Fonkole. The wooden mace was designed and constituted by Martin Allen upon the attainment of Dominica's independence in 1978. I know maybe you guys cannot attest to that situation of the silver mace being thrown in an oil tank, but that is what somebody's reporting here.
Oh, well, maybe the person know about it.
Maybe the person know about it.
Maybe
the person know about it. I don't know. All I know, the silver mace disappeared. You understand?
Yeah.
The silver and it disappeared. I do not know where. If it's in a drum of colas or oil, I don't know. But the one we have now was carved out by Mr. Martin Allen. I know that for sure. I know that for sure. Well, and I will go back to the point I said. Not enough has been written in the history of Dominica over the period of the 70s. You understand? Because I left high school in the 70s, you know, Lofty. Moi jeune, my brain active, you understand? And I always like to read. Yeah. I always like to read. So every time I pick up the Dominica story, I have a copy at home. And every time I try to, I say, but not enough. And I've told Dr. Onich, so not enough. Not enough is written about that hot period in Dominica. The dread things, hélas.
But I can remember, I don't know, but I have said already that since the Freedom Party came into power, after they threw out Patrick John, they can tell me what they want. They was on the throw out Patrick John. They took in power, and you never hear about union anymore. They bought all unions.
But I'm telling you,
they just silent all the unions.
Even the churches went silent too.
All of them went
because
silent.
In the heat of the battle in 79,
up till now,
I just wouldn't call priest name. I'm Catholic, you know you. But you could hear the summons. You could hear them.
Fiery summons.
Fiery and more politics than anything else. I tell you, that Sunday, I cannot forget it. People got up and they left the service. You understand? That's why I'm confident that if religious leaders speak, and they speak truth to power to their people, condemn the wrong and give praise to the good thing, people will see the difference, Lofty. They will see it. And we mustn't be afraid to say that we are feeling the squeeze.
Amen.
We mustn't be afraid to say that. And don't tell me it happens in other countries. No, jamais. Don't compare St. Kitts and Dominica.
I know.
The salaries are higher in St. Kitts.
For sure.
They are higher in St. Kitts. You understand? Our salaries are low, and we're still paying $15+ for a gallon of gas. I'd rather be in St. Kitts working for $20 an hour and buy my gas for $16. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
One, it's a small island, it's flatter.
Yep.
So whatever high I have to do for the day, I burn less and I gain more. But here, when I full my tank and I give you an island, when I come back, I have to full it again. And it's $100, almost $200 to full it. And my prices here are lower because the people cannot afford to pay big money. You are a taxi driver yourself, you know that. You know that. And that is the issue we have. So all of us in Dominica are feeling the squeeze. When you were breaking off from that, the party was pushed out. Corruption was pushed out. But when the rain falls, as I always tell my friends, it falls on all of our houses, all our roof rain for it, man. The rain falls, water all over the place.
Someone is making the comment here on the live that what happened in 79 can happen again. Paula, I know you echoed that thought before. Any thoughts on what that person is saying in terms of what transpired in 79? Do you see that thing happening? Can it happen again in the interest of Dominica?
Well, Lofty, when I started off this afternoon, I said I would not like to see 1979 repeat itself in Dominica.
Mhm.
But I also said that when you have leaders who do not do the right things, things are most likely to happen. And what I'm seeing happening in Dominica today, it looks like we are heading for 1979. God forbid, I hope, like Mr. Duran Majel have said, that if most of the church leaders would speak out and the people would get a clear understanding of the wrong that is happening in Dominica, they would have a turnaround. Because when you have leaders who do not listen to the people who have voted for them, then eventually what you're going to have, you have people who are in need. There are persons who sometimes maybe do not have a meal. Maybe they wakes up in the morning, they doesn't have breakfast, they doesn't have lunch, they doesn't know where their dinner is coming from. And when you have a country where people has a very hard struggle, then you have a lot of crime.
Mhm.
And when you have crimes, what happens? Sometimes you have even the innocent persons who maybe have not committed the offense. These people are sent to prison and they have family out there. And then what these family are going to do? They're going to start retaliating. So I would not like to see a 1979 repeat itself in Dominica. But the path that we are walking is the path of a 1979. And I'm asking, that's why I'm always calling on the pastors and the priests, those who believe in truth and righteousness. They should do something. Don't wait for you to say you should have done something. Don't wait for it to be too late. Because Mr. Duran said it earlier, that persons used to go out there. There were like meetings after meetings before that huge day, 1979, 29th of May. And there, nobody was charged. Persons would come out there in meetings. You heard he say that they were even asking people to come with your guns. Today, if maybe you just say something that some of the leaders and them doesn't want to hear, they talk about incitement.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to where Mr. Duran made that point, and he said about back in the days, the high-ranking officers, those were the ones that carry rifles, they carry guns. Today, you are seeing a police officer could have joined the force maybe sometime about a month or 2 months ago, and you see them walk all over Roseau in this army fatigue with these guns. Even when you drive by the financial center in the week, you see these police officers standing there. But like, I'm not calling them police officers. They are like soldiers. Because I can recall way back, you would only see officers dressed in this army fatigue when they go to the bush in the mountains, they go and look for drugs or they go on training. Today you see officers, you have a little walk in the city and you see officers dressed in this army fatigue and this long rifle machine gun, all in independent streets. And I'm asking myself what is really happening. And I'm saying the priests and pastors, they really need to speak out, because if that doesn't happen, we are on the path to May 29, 1979.
So if we don't change, Paula, basically, if we don't change our trajectory we're on as a country,
yes,
it can repeat itself.
Yes, Lofty. Okay. And I definitely would not like to see the same thing happen here in Dominica. We have persons who can make a difference.
True.
Let me chime in on that a little bit, Lofty. Another May 29, 79, it can happen again, but in my honest opinion, I would not like it to happen.
Yes.
I would not like it to happen. And the simple reason is, if it happens again, it's going to be very bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be terrible. A lot of people are going to die. A lot of people are going to get injured. You understand? Innocent as the guilty ones. So I would not like to see it happen again. After I die, yes, if it happen, but I wouldn't want to witness it again. Because I saw the first one, I saw it from the beginning to the end. And although only one person died, only one person, but if it happens again, no, it's going to be terrible. And on the question of guns and things, there's a difference between doing internal security work and going on an operation in the hills.
Okay.
That's very different. Unless in the police force you have the SSU. I assume that is their army or platoon or two. How many men I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. But the front line must be the policemen in gray and black. That's the front line. So if SSU is your main strike force, if the situation gets too hot for the men in gray and black, they cannot handle it, then you call in the SSU. That's the only thing. If you're going in the hills, it's obvious you're going on a special operation, be it drugs or whatever the case may be. You can dress in your fatigues and take your long guns, your military weapons, and then go in the hills up there because you expect to get fired upon, then you have to return the fire with maximum force. That is the way, as far as I know, it operates.
Yeah. Bellot, the same question to you. Do you see a 1979 repeating itself again based on where we are as a country?
Well, the way I'm seeing things, trust me, up to this morning I said that. I said, boy, things are getting so rough. Look, I'm here in Domlek. We're sending home workers. A lot of places sending home workers. People get frustrated. And you'll see people at anger. And trust me, there'll be a repeat, but I would not like it. Trust me, it would not be nice. Because you see those people that are inside there, it's not a Labour Party. I don't know what party it is, but those that are governing there now, they are not prepared to give up. And they will do anything to remain there. So when you go and say you're going to demonstrate or whatever it is, they will do a lot of killing. They do a lot of nonsense.
But one thing
so I'm just praying that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
One thing I know, when Dominicans get fed up, when they reach the boiling point and when they explode, it will be bad. That's why I tell you I wouldn't want to see that happen again. Nothing.
Yeah.
Because when you go, and you can't take anymore, you will react.
That's the fact.
You will react because you cannot take it anymore. So the leadership of the country and everybody, they have to listen. That's where the priests, because all of them go to a church anyway. So if they don't go to church, somebody will tell them. So you have the priests, the religious, the men of the cloth or the women of the cloth, they must take the lead and explain to the people. Personally, I have no problems with Paula supporting a party of a choice. I have no issue with that at all. That's your constitutional right to do. But once you do that, you must have the guts, you must have the testicular fortitude to condemn something that is wrong. If it is wrong, you must say it is wrong, and you must tell your leaders it is wrong.
Yep.
That doesn't take anything away from you from supporting your party. You know what I'm saying? You can vote for who you want. But when something is wrong, it is wrong. I'm telling you, the shirt Loft is wearing is pink. You want to tell me yellow? Yeah, I'm seeing it is pink.
Yeah.
But you want to try to convince me that it's yellow. No, it's not. Pink is pink and yellow is yellow. Wrong is wrong. And two wrongs can never make a right. And when you see problems looming on the horizon, you have to try to diffuse it as early as possible. And that's where all the leaders of the country, trade unions, civic groups, religious leaders, they must start speaking truth to power. Praise what is good and condemn what is wrong.
Yes, Brother Marshall, before we bring the program to a wrap this afternoon, it would be remiss of me not to ask you about the dread situation back then. I know that's another story by itself, but if we can just touch on it to kind of paint a picture as to what was unfolding back then with the persons who wore their dreadlocks on their head and the treatment that they received from the powers that be.
Well, to be honest, that's another chapter by itself. You know. But for us in the military, it was a very dangerous thing. Because you will get in the news, word of mouth, phone calls then, no cell phones back then, but you're getting phone calls, that farmers were being attacked on their holdings. They were being prevented from going to their gardens, you know, to harvest their crops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what the government did at the time, they passed a law, or you know, outlawing the wearing of dreadlocks and stuff like that. There were certain terms that were very harsh. And then we were in the force, we were instructed, because when they started killing people, the government had to act. And they were not stationed in one place. They were all over Dominica. In the south, in the southeast, on the north, on the northwest, in the center. And to me, all of them were violent. And some of them had weapons too. They had weapons as well. And therefore, it was left to the defense force to organize itself, plan, and execute their plan. In the process, one soldier got killed, that's Private Raphael Regis, and 2 rascals in the heights of Castlebrus. One of them got killed. But what I can say, after the force was disbanded in 1981, many more were killed by the police than the defense force.
Okay.
Many more. Many more, as far as I know. Then we had kidnapping as well.
Mhm.
We had kidnapping of the 2 young ladies from Portsmouth, Julie and the other one by Major Tumba.
Yes.
And honestly, I cannot recall how many operations I went on. I remember sleeping in a nest of ants in Glenville, looking for Tumba, just looking for Tumba. And then we heard, got news that we had the girls in the heights of Mont Diablo 10. Then we had people, I can call their names. One is that Archie Samuel, Nicholas George, and another guy. They had some dogs, some real good dogs. And we were using the dogs to hunt them guys, but we never got them.
Okay.
But fortunately, we never met them, but fortunately the police did, and they got rid of Tumba. You understand? Julian is, I think she's still in Portsmouth alive and well.
Matter of fact, I'm trying to get her to recall.
Yeah, but we never met them, but we patrol syndicate, you know, from Hubla side all the way down. Never got hold of them, we never saw them. At one time we did encounter Major Pocosion from Louvier. Yeah, that one. But if I recall that, it was a Sunday. I was off duty and I there relaxing. I just had lunch, just had a river bath and I there relaxing. And right for the baby. Here comes Piper on the same little blue van.
Okay.
I was a corporal. Corporal Durham, Mr. Reed wants you at headquarters. No. I said, what? He said, yeah, no, I'm waiting for you. Got dressed. When I got to headquarters, he told me, Mr. John, got dressed, you're going on an operation now. After you dress, you'll get your orders. Dressed. Said, go and pick up your weapon. Signed and everything. Then he gave us instructions. We are moving and we are going in search of Pocosion because this is what happened. They killed the guy in Berlin, the Girardel up there. And we started the same afternoon. Joe, I remember the truck, a Bedford truck, number 162. You remember that truck? Drop us over the top of Bellevue Chauffeur and we took the forest. That was Sunday night. And you know when I got back home? Friday afternoon.
Wow.
Friday afternoon. And what was the ration? 2 packets of biscuits, 2 tins of sardines, bottle of juice, and we went on the mission. And then we patrolled all the mountain down there. And then we found ourselves in Dalis by the White River. And whilst we were there, we got instructions that Pocosion wasn't around. He had gone to La Plaine and he'll come back. So we waited and then he was captured. We didn't kill him. He was captured, he was brought down to town, taken to court, he was tried. The trial lasted 5-7 days or so. And who were the lawyers? Ronan David deceased, Jenna Armour deceased, Geoffrey Harris, Eustace Francis. These were the lawyers on the case. And Pocosion escaped. And after Pocosion escaped, because more havoc in the Dominican.
He escaped from the law.
Yes.
Yes, because he was found not guilty.
Okay.
So
But,
his lawyers represented him.
Yeah, man. Because Mr. Ronan David was he was the Attorney General, I think, or something like that. He was prosecuting for the government.
yes.
But his lawyers were Eustace Francis, Jenna Armour, and Harris. The three top-notch lawyers.
Yes. So they got him off the hook.
They got him off the hook. And after he escaped, he went back to the hills again.
And more havoc.
And more havoc. Until finally I understood he's dead now, but he gave the police some trouble as well. He gave some police.
Someone is writing here, thank God. Someone by the name of Patricia Fountain is saying, thank God. The Dreads were not in large numbers, especially in the countryside where she lived, because when they came from school, they had to be running home.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
That's true.
There
You
was
say outlet now?
no, there was one in Laplain. There were a few in Laplain because they killed the guy and they buried him in a very shallow grave. They threw some white lime on him, but they recovered that body. There were a few living in Tefem. I don't know if you know where is Tefem. That's when you leave Emerald Pool Road going down to Rosalie there, on the right hand side over there. As I said, there was some in the Granby area down there by White River there, using that trail there. There was some in Pocasset, going down to Bell's area down there and so. And there was some on the north as well. They were scattered.
Some in Portsmouth
Yes, they were scattered all over the place. Tartan, you know. But one thing though, give them credit to that. They were always close to water. They were always close to water. Yeah, there was some
There
in
was a dread called Galloway.
same Tumba.
Tumba, okay.
Yeah, Tumba, same Tumba. There was some in the heights of Bells as well in the Mont Laurent area there. That's where the guys were killed in the river, in the heights of the Macapin River. Macapin River is the one going to center the stretch of Castle River. Castle Stretch, right in the heights of there. That's where the guys and Regis got killed.
Was Mr. Honeychurch father taken away from his home as well?
Yes. Well, that is where Pocosin started this thing, you know, in the Montrose area, where he killed gentleman, a Bellot fella.
Okay.
And then they kidnapped Dr. Honeychurch, his father. Yeah, and then they went across with him, but they went all the way to Daly Street and there, and then they murdered him and burned the body and everything. And that chap was with them too. I think he's in Newtown now. I get him now. Eric, he spent a lot of time in prison.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But he was with them as well. And then yes, and they killed a guy in Berlin as well. I saw Girardel.
Okay.
Guy had a donkey. They killed him. They threw him down the ravine, and then they threw the donkey over him. That's when we started the operation. There was just 5 of us, and I can remember leaving my home on Sunday afternoon about 3 o'clock, and I got back on Friday afternoon. But that was a history. But the government had to intervene and do something about it because too many reports were coming. Hey, tell me, you have your farm with all your pumpkins and your potatoes, your crop, and you cannot go there. Not only were you harvesting some for you to eat, but you telling Paula, don't come back there. Don't come back there. So which government will sit down and take that?
Okay, Mr. Duran, let me ask a question. When you all would have left the station and go out there on this operation, what would be the intention? Are you all going out there with intention to capture these men if they are not armed? Or you all are going out there with the intention to bring back a dead body or bury them somewhere out there? What was the intention?
It can happen both ways, you know. It can happen both ways because you are giving orders. You understand? The mission could be to kill or capture and kill. When you go on a mission, you are armed. It's only obvious for that if you attacked, you have to attack as well. Because no soldier, no policeman will be on a mission in search of something, and whilst you are walking, bang, bang the fire at you for not to return the fire. No, you will.
The reason why I asked this
Wait
question.
a while, but if you can capture the person, especially if he is wanted for some serious crime and the police want to question him, if you can capture him and take him alive and bring him back to the police and let them do what they have to do, like we did with Pocosin. We could have killed him as well. We could, but we didn't, because the instructions were, if we can capture him, bring him back, because they want to investigate the matter because of the killing up there, the one for Eden Bellat as well as Dr. Honeychurch's father. So we had reason to bring him back. And honestly, he didn't resist, or he didn't fire at us. But had he fired on us, we would have returned the fire.
That's where I was coming
You
to.
see, we would have returned the fire. And when you return the fire, what happened to you happened because you fired me first.
That's where I was coming to. Because when you said you all went out there to look for him, capture him, you all took him down, he went to court, and then he was released because he was not found guilty. Now, the reason why I asked that question, because if you have such a dangerous man out there, and then you live with an intention, and you go out there hoping that maybe he might fire at you, or maybe try to injure one of you, because he knows what he's been doing. In as much as you all are on a mission, then when you see him, you would expect, okay, this is the person that I come for. He have committed so many offenses, and then I'm just going to put him down. The reason why I came to that, because I have seen time and time again that innocent Dominicans are going out there, whether they are protesting, whether they are walking, and then you see these police officers or these, I'm not sure, like I usually say, whether I should call them police officers or I should call them soldiers. And they are out there in this army fatigue with these long rifles. And you would swear they are on a battlefield. You would swear that they are out there and they come out there and it's like, it's like they are going to face persons who come out there for war. Well, so that's why I asked this question.
The thing is, if you go on an operation, let's say you're going in search of Paula Celestine, you may not have all the offenses, you may not know all the offenses Paula committed. That will be a matter for the police, because the police will tell you, okay, yes, this is the person that we want. If you capture him, bring him alive. But if when you go in the hills and then you see Paula and you tell Paula, halt, and Paula turn around and pull a gun, there's no return for you.
This is understood.
You're going to face the music. Mm-hmm. You understand? But if you can capture the person alive, or even though you fire, you break a leg or something, and then you deliver the person to the police, let the law take its course. You understand? Exactly. This is a very different thing than arresting somebody in Roseau and things like that. As I said, as far as I know, I will make the statement, we don't have soldiers in Dominica. We have policemen. We don't, and the reason why I say we have not an army. There's no Dominica Defense Force or PLA or anything like that. We have the Dominica Police Force. So I assume everybody who is there are police officers, man or woman.
They should be, Mr. Duran. They should be.
But that's what they are.
Mr. Duran.
Wait a while, but you are part maybe of the regional security system. You consider yourself. Jamaica has soldiers. Guyana has soldiers. Barbados has soldiers. Trinidad has. Because you have the Trinidad Defense Force, the Guyana Defense Force, the Jamaica Defense Force. But we have not the Dominica Defense Force here. We have the Dominica Police Force. But we are part of the regional security system, albeit some of the uniform is camouflage. But when you go on patrol in Roseau, why the camouflage? Why the camouflage? And you have black and gray. That's what you should be patrolling with, not that. I look at it as scare tactics.
Yeah. We're going to wind down in a while, but let me just ask Judith here. Judith has been silent for a little while, just taking in everything that she can. Judith, the Dominica that you knew then in the 70s and the Dominica that you're living now, in terms of the young people now, let's focus on some young people. What advice would you want to tell the young persons as to what they could be or should be doing now as it pertains to, Dominica?
Well, in the 70s, we had young people. So all years we had young people, but everybody was united. We have different things, we have different training, we have different this, we have that, going to different places. But now I'm just saying they don't have anything good for young people. We are only training. The youth division, what has happened to it? There's a youth division in High Street. That's where I was trained. In the 70s, that's how I was trained. 80s, at the time of matches, used to have a lot of different courses for young people. Where has that gone to? I'm not hearing anything. After you finish do your course, you get employed, you get something for you to do, even on your own. You go on your own, you have self-employment. Yes. But I'm not even saying that. What has gone wrong? So we need to tell the young people that they need to educate themselves.
True.
Come on board. talk to the government and see what you all can do for yourselves. Stop letting government give you. Come and do something for yourself. Be independent. That you see that word independent, that is what I believe in. I believe in going and work for myself, have something for myself. Don't just give me a house and tell me, you see, you give me a house, or give me a decent, tell me, you see, give me a house. Come and pay a bill for me. See, I pay a bill. No. Help me out, get something for me to do. And then I can pay my bills independently. At that time, you cannot watch me and tell me I owe you. That is what that is happening with this government. No. They give them things and then they tell you, well, you owe me something. Enough of those things there. This must be stopped. And our young people, please tell the government you all need help. Please. That's all I need for young people.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
If I may chime in, I'd love to. To answer to that question, my way of saying that is one, I put a lot of blame on the education system in Dominica. A lot of blame. Back in the 70s, where was the cell phone? Where was the cell phone?
True.
No cell phone. Maybe a home phone or a pay phone by the road. Good. That's one. Two, where is the subject civics? Where is it? That is off the curriculum and so on. Three, where are the social groups? Like YMCA, YWCA, where are the drama groups in the school? Where is the debating society? You understand? I remember going to the grammar school and then I was never part of it. But you had Mr. Alwyn Bully and the other one, Hyacinth, Steve Hyacinth. You had those plays, theater, you know, shows going on all over Rose, all over Dominica. You had debates going on in the secondary school. I see a little bit of that at the college now, but you had all those things going on. So the young people, they were occupied. Where's the skills training? I went to the technical wing of the Dominica Grammar School alongside Raymond Nostri, Isaac Baptist, Peter Carbon, Odile Valmont, and a host of others, Severin Bunch and a host of others. Right at the tech wing there, where we, Merrill Matthew and company, you know him, where we were doing carpentry and joinery. We also did agriculture with Mr. Savre from Lapin, who died recently as well. And Mr. George, okay, you already know Mr. George, was teaching metal work. People like Edgar Robinson and Savre Bunch, Peg Leg at Newtown, were learning to build web, and everybody were building gates and fences and so on. So when we left the school, we had a skill. We had a skill. Where is it now? Today, every young person has a cell phone or two. What are they reading? I'm not telling you you can have your phone in. But what are you reading on the phone? What are you using it for? Are you doing any research than just message and text lofty and this and that? No. You can put it to better use. Go on YouTube and look at something and try to do it. I know a guy who was a mechanic, but he never went to school. But who can put down a gearbox faster than him and put it back up? On YouTube, you learn it. On YouTube. On YouTube. So the government now needs to reintroduce civics in the schools and then to bring back the skills training program. Bring it back and keep the young people occupied, because people need skills.
True.
People need skills. Get somebody attached to Lofty who's an electrician. You understand? So at the end of 1 year, 2 years, you can say, no, Mr. Lofty, thank you very much. I feel I can hold my own. But please, I'm going to use you as my resource person, because I'm going to work. You understand what I'm saying? And then the schools themselves must reorganize. Mr. Christian is always telling man that. And have the groups going on in the school so you can debate and you can talk. You understand? The plays must come back. Let us all go back to the Arags of the culture and watch a play, you know, and everything like that. When was the last time you went to watch one? You don't know? So your time is on the phone talking rubbish sometimes.
I know.
You understand? You're not putting it to good use. So that's why our young people are falling short, because you want a carpenter today, you have to go all over the place, but you cannot find one. Because all those who were trained at the grammar school, and even to a certain extent the state college, they have all left Dominica. They have all left. I haven't got a problem in you leaving if you're highly skilled and you're not getting paid for your skills, you can go. But at least you're leaving Dominica. Very soon people are going to say, well, forget masters, you know. I want a carpenter, I want a top class electrician, I want a refrigerator repairer. You know what I'm saying? Your skills. Your skills. So the education system must come in now and take us from where we were in the 70s and beyond now. You understand what I'm saying?
So, yeah.
Let us come back to it. I remember the tech wing we had hundreds of pieces of tools down there. Where are they now? They were transferred from tech wing to the state college. I think that got destroyed in Maria. Where are they? How many students learning to do carpentry and joinery at the college?
Yeah.
How many? So the young people must appreciate themselves too. They must think of themselves and say, what do I want to be in life?
That's it.
Being a lawyer and a doctor is a noble profession. It's not all. It's not all. We need the skills people too. And young people have to find something to do to keep them occupied. Once you do that, you will see out of trouble.
That's it.
Because once you have work to do, you have no time to go and gossip. You understand what I'm saying? Because Paula calls you to do something at home. You're working at Paula's home from 7:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock, and you still have to come back next day. And next day, when you reach at home, you're tired, you finish school, you're going to watch is go and bathe your dinner and go and sleep, and next morning wake up and go back to the office home and do what you have to do. Even as soon as you finish with Paula on Friday, you're getting a phone call. That's where the phone comes in. Lofty is calling you. Hey, are you finished with Paula? How's something to do for me? You haven't got time. Go back to the old saying, the devil always finds work for idle hands. The more you sit on your laurel and say, okay, oh, I'm going to sit down there because Wednesday I'm going to get, you know, I'm going to get $200.
Yes.
On Wednesday I'm going to get $200. You will work? Back it up, I.
Getting free.
Back it up, I. You will build house? Okay, fair guy? Or you will extend what you have? No. You'll wait for somebody to give you one.
All right, well, gentle people, basically the darkness has descended upon us. Those of you can see the darkness in the background here. So we really have to kind of make our way out of here now. But I want to thank both you, Miss Judith, and Brother Marshall as well for coming on. And well, Marshall is a regular coming on and speaking his mind as to especially the 70s. Because I know that man have a whole lot of resource, a whole lot of, he's a very resourceful person where that is, a whole lot of experience at that. But Marshall, one question I really want to put on the table before I ask for you guys wind up comments. Judy, if I can start with you. There's a sort of reluctance on the persons that know about the 70s in Dominica, that era. There's a kind of reluctance on their part to come forward and kind of give the information, give details, say it as it was back then, so that the younger generation can benefit from the experience, their recollections. What would you want to say to these persons that are not so proactive like you, Judith, to come and speak and to recall certain things?
Well, I don't know what is there to hide. There's nothing to hide. The truth is the truth. Something has happened, you need to say the truth. So I don't know why they want to hide. So all who know and their conscience, because a lot of it, you see, right now, there are a lot of people listening to me. They know the truth. A lot of people have experienced those things and they're afraid to talk. Now is the time to come out. Please, I'm begging you all, come out and tell people, yes, what she said there is true. I can give my piece too. And you will see, educate the young people, because especially the young people, they need to know, because I go home and I tell my children, this and that has happened. And I say, but mommy, where you get all that from? I say, yes, I'm telling you, these are the things that happen. And you all need to know it. Don't hide it. I'm letting you all know this happened. So you can grow up and then tell your children. I can remember my mother or my grandmother telling me that. So please, young people and all, or people who know what went wrong, say the wrong that went wrong. Thank you.
Sure. Marshall, same question to you
Lofty,
before we wind up.
truth is true. And I don't think you can defend truth. If I tell you Lofty, you wearing an orange shirt, what are you going to tell me? That's true.
I know.
So if you know the thing, there's no need to criticize anybody, no need to insult anybody. You know the truth, speak it.
Some persons say, Marshall, that they don't want to go back there. That is too much bad memory.
No, well, it's okay. It's a matter of fact, but it's the truth. And if you know it, say it, because some people might not know. I'll say it again. There's not enough written in the Dominican story about the 70s. There's not enough. You need more than that. So you know it, say it. Discuss it with your children. You understand? And the teachers themselves, be it primary or secondary, must do the research and teach their students. Because they didn't know, those who were born in the 80s and in the 90s, they don't know. They don't know, but they're at high school. So tell them, do the research, ask questions, like you did, you and Paul are doing, and then tell the people that. Tell them the truth.
Sure,
The truth is the truth.
Sure.
Whether it hurts you or not, but the truth is the truth. Why should I tell you May 29 did not happen? No, it happened. Timothy got killed. Coriat was beaten. The state car was destroyed. It's the truth. You understand? So there's nothing to hide. Are you going to lose your job for that? If you lose your job, so be it. But you're speaking the truth. You mustn't be afraid to tell somebody. Well, that is the problem you're facing now. It's because we know certain people are doing wrong, and we refuse or we fail to tell them, so they keep on doing the same thing over and over again. But if you are doing wrong, and I am as your support, and I tell you, Lofty, what you're doing there is not good. It is wrong. Stop it. Fix it. You understand? Fix it. Because this is what this one is saying. This is that. We are all Dominicans. You understand? Fix it. What can he tell you? Oh, I will not give you $100 at the end of the month. Too cool. But I will tell it to you. That is the only way you can get it going. Unless we can put our leaders to the sword and say, look, you know something, I support you, you know. But what you're doing there is nonsense.
True.
Say, Soto Cafe, period. It's nonsense you're doing. And all of you, you have to fix that. If you never say that, what's going to happen?
True.
The process will continue.
Yeah, before we bring it to a close, let's just take some comments from the viewers there, listening on and watching on. And then for sure, we'll ask you guys for your wind down comments. This person by the name of, this person by the name of Nugent Thomas is saying, good job, well done. Who is that person?
I know you.
Oh, you know him.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
You see, boy, is his son.
Okay.
You see where when you're going up to the falls, you reach the top of the hill where Morancy had that restaurant now.
Yes.
And you go down the little hill by the Trafalgar Falls view. You see the house where Mr. Edward Lambert is living?
And you just should know me. He should know me.
That was his house. After the fiasco, he sold it and then I know where he is now.
Yes, he should know me. He should know me. I know him very well.
So he said there, good job, well done, a great program for generations to come. To your answer, Mr. Dira, to the guest, read my story and hearing from a major victim of 1979. So he has a story on EJ visit to Dominica.com. So we can read that story there. So thank you, Mr. Thomas, for your contribution here. Patricia Fountain is saying, very interesting program, well-packed program. Mary Lorio is saying, nice discussion and education on the history of the 70s. Marshall, Jan Joseph is saying, Marshall still have his darkers on with a smile. So you heard Jan? Yes, no problem. So you heard Jan, that is his glasses right there. Just have a shade of for his glasses, okay? Marilyn Pascal says, good points, Marshall. In the 70s, there were debates, talent shows, youth groups, sports clubs, the Londonderry, youth camp, Kudme program, even the elementary school ever. The noise level. There were woodwork as well, arts and crafts, background gardening. Civics was an integral part of the curriculum. We need to revisit those days. That is what Ms. Pascal is saying here. Let me just, if I could get some more comments. Nugent Thomas again is saying, thank you, Mr. Lofty Duran, Mrs. Paula Celestine. Nugent is basically taking over the live now. He's saying the summarization of Mr. Marshall and Mrs. Judith on futuristic answers for youths in Dominica were excellent. Antoine George is writing here, so we something people. I know some of the brothers at the time made mistakes, but we are peaceful people. You all got the brothers frustrated, fighting against the levity, the holy herb, and their way of living. I guess that's when we were talking about the Rasta business in Dominica. David Joseph is saying at the time, you did not have to do anything to the brothers other than being in possession of lands that they felt should be theirs. It was as simple as that. And they basically take it away from you. That's what George is talking about. So basically that is in a nutshell, folks, the comments they're coming in. Marshall Lawrence is asking a lofty question. Did Patrick John send for regional or international help?
No.
Anytime? Okay,
No.
so that's a big no, Marshall?
No.
All right, and then the comments. Pocosion Lendo is saying, Claudette Lendo is saying, Pocosion called at home and it was I who answered the phone. I remember as a little girl, he asked to speak to my adopted dad, told him never to go back to his garden at Pocasset again. Wow. So these guys were that invasive. Calling somebody home and telling them not to go back to the garden.
But they kill a cousin of my Eaton's brother. They
Wow.
did kill
Eaton Bellot in Montreal.
Eaton Bellot, well, his son.
Okay.
But he just disappeared, you know. Eustace Bellot, that is Panman's brother. If Panman hear me,
Yes.
he will hear that his brother has disappeared. Is the rascals that burnt him, they had done it the first time, collect pieces of wood and decide they were going to kill him live and near him. Escape on them in the night.
Wow.
And when he did reach out his mother's home married, he had to hide under the bed for how many days, you know. Okay. He was scared. Another time again, they held him and drastically disappeared.
Well, gentlemen and ladies, I want to thank you very much, and young one as well. She have been up doing a thing. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time, Civic Vibes. Kind of really want to appreciate you for your time. We're sorry for the little technical glitch we had earlier, but everything went on smooth thereafter. So Judith, your final comment just before we wind down the conversation. We talked about the era of the 70s. What would you want to leave in the minds of the persons watching and listening? What would you want to let them remember more about, or most rather, about the 70s?
Well, for what I experienced, honestly, I wouldn't want that to happen. I wouldn't want another thing to happen. But what I'm telling all people, please talk to the present government that you'll have there, because I know a lot of people will be outraged. The way that they are behaving, and I have told people already, the labor that is there now, that is not the labor we know. That is not a labor party. That must be a scary party, but that is not a labor party. Labor was never like that. Labor was for the poor and the outspring people to move them up, build them up. But what I'm seeing that is happening now is a lot of victimization. If you are not ready, you better be dead, they tell you. And this should not be. You are in power, we put you there, you have to help out everybody, not a specific amount of people or not a specific person you help out. It's not because I am not for you. When I come to you and ask you for assistance that you don't help me, you have to help me. That is what you are there for. You have been paid to do a job. And my dear people that are listening to me there, please talk to the government that is here. Let them know that the nonsense that is happening there, or if it's their enablers, the Labour Party people that are giving them the advice to tell them, oh, that one is not for you. He's not one of us. Enough of those things. All of us are Dominicans, and we all have to be together. They're asking for togetherness, but the way they are behaving, they are not together. Because I've experienced it. I've experienced victimization, but I'm still standing. I'm still strong. That is why I'm there now to talk about the history of Dominica. So my dear people, please, thumbs up.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bella. Thank you very much. Brother Dura, the same request to you.
Paula, thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure. I tried my best. But what I would want to tell people, or tell Dominicans is, one, honestly, I would not like to see another 79 revolution again, but if that's what it has to be, it will be. I'm not God. Secondly, for the people in authority, we are all Dominicans. You never expect the whole population to support you. Some will be for, some will be against. So treat everybody equally, because nobody knows when they're going to die and nobody going to live forever. And we mustn't think that you'll not die. We almost die. And the victimization in Dominica, people can say what they want, it is real. It is real. It happened to me. It happened to me. And I'll say no more on it. But thank God there's a God above, and the person is no longer in Dominica and he's doing okay. But it is real. And then for the young people, open up your minds. Read more. Not on the phone, but ask questions of your seniors. By asking questions, you will know a lot more. And then you can learn more and act differently.
True.
Once you learn more, you will act differently. Ask the right questions. Because you may be 30 years, 25 years, that's still very young. Ask people who are in their 50s and their 60s what happened, what was Dominica like in the 70s, and compare it to now. Having a cell phone is not all. And giving somebody yes, you give somebody a house, you give somebody a house. If the person cannot afford a senior person, another problem with that. But when you are ignoring the seniors and giving it to young people of 18 and 19 years, what do you expect to happen? You will never get people to love you, you know. But if you treat everybody equally, some people might have a change of heart. But if you keep sidelining one set, you are hardening their heart towards you. They will never come to you. And I always tell my Labour Party friends, I have lots of friends there. What we have at Dominica Labour Party now is not Labour. All they carry is the name and the symbol. That's all. But the party I grew up with and I voted for many times, the same. It's not the same. It's a completely different thing now. Completely different thing. So, thanks again, Lofty. And you are very welcome to call on me again. You know, to talk about something.
Thank you, Brother Marshall. Indeed. Let me just turn to the host of the program here, Paula Celestine. Paula, in terms of your final thoughts, would you want to say anything would you want to say anything to the viewing public out there?
Well, yes, Lucky. As usual, it has always been a very interesting program, and I must say thank you to Ms. Bellot and Mr. Duran, this afternoon for such great information for the persons who not really know the history of Dominica, and to the persons who in government, who persons have voted for you and placed you here to do a job, and then you want to take side because this person have not supported you. I want to say the history of Dominica, we do not look for having a repeat, but this can only be done in a different way when the persons who have been elected to represent the country and the people that you will think and do differently. And I believe most of the persons who are there in this Labour Party government, most of them, if maybe not 50, close to their 50s, so they would have known the history of Dominica. And I'm saying that you will need to do better than that, because I think Dominica and Dominicans have had enough. And it's only one way. It's either to do the right thing or that's it. So once again, thank you very much, and thank you to Ms. Bella for doing like that. Thank you to all of our viewers, those who stayed with us. And like you said, Mr. Duran, we're lucky. I have to say no, not just because we had to Mr. Duran. So lucky Yes, we have had experience this afternoon and decided everything went well. So now time has come and gone. So once again, thank you to all those who stayed with us. And before I go, we should remind Dominicans that on Wednesday, as usual, remember the work for peace, justice, and thank you, Loki.
All right, Paula, thank you very much.
The one that was because
Yes,
that
it
was
is.
the- yeah, thank
Thank you for your
And I
closing.
just said, fish is in your on thing, you know, fish,
Thank you for your closing comments, Paula. Let me again thank Brother Marshall and also Judith. And so we hope to do that sometime in the future.
welcome, no problem.
All right, thank you, folks, for everybody listening and watching. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
was a program with a different